You awaken not in light, but in the trembling silence between breaths. Darkness folds around you like a heavy cloak, and in that darkness there is memory not entirely yours. Yet pressed into your bones, as though carved by fire, you do not remember when you first entered this cavern of shadows, but you know you were always meant to find it. Beneath your feet, the stones feel older than empires, older than the rise of suns, whispering with the weight of an order that once ruled, unseen. You begin to hear them murmur, fragments of a vow, fragments of a law that was not written for the masses, but for the chosen few. You sense the rule, one master, one apprentice etched into the marrow of history. It lingers in the dust, in the echoes of ancient voices that hiss like serpents in the void. You feel yourself becoming both listener and vessel, as if the decree has traveled through centuries only to reach you. The shadows speak, and you realize you are not simply standing in some forgotten cave. You are walking inside a memory of Darth Bane, the architect of secrecy, the one who bound power into bloodlines of hunger. You feel the cold steel of his vision pressing into your own veins. You wander deeper. The air thickens, damp with unseen life. Each step draws you toward a lightless core where the air tastes metallic, as though old blood clings to the very stones. You reach out, and though your hand touches only emptiness, you feel the press of phantom hands upon yours, apprentices of centuries past. Their bones long dissolved into ash, yet their will still burning in this place. You do not see them, yet you know them. They are the countless fallen, the ones who believed themselves strong enough to inherit the mantle, but found only death waiting in the moment of betrayal. You breathe, and their breath enters you, cold and unyielding. There is no sound of birds, no river trickling, no outside world intruding here. Only the heartbeat of the dark side, steady and patient, teaching you through silence. And as you listen, you realize that the darkness is not void at all, it is alive. It coils around you, testing you, pressing against your mind as though to see if it may enter fully. It whispers promises that are not promises, but inevitabilities, power, dominion, survival. You begin to remember that you were not meant to live among the common, not meant to kneel before laws or temples built for the masses. You were meant to rule or to be ruled, nothing in between. The chamber shifts, not with stone, not with dust, but with vision. You are no longer simply you. You are apprentice and master both. You see a cloaked figure before you, his face hidden, his presence undeniable. His voice is like thunder that never breaks into lightning, low and endless. Asterisk, one master, one apprentice. So it shall remain. Asterisk, you hear it as though spoken within you, yet also far beyond you, as though the galaxy itself repeats it. You do not know if this is a memory or a prophecy, but you feel it binding around your soul like iron chains. You are eager to accept. The air sharpens. Your body becomes lighter, but your mind heavier. Shadows fold into visions, wars fought and forgotten, palaces burned, masters slain by the very hands they trained. You see them all, as if standing upon the edge of time, gazing into centuries of betrayal and hunger. And in all of it, the thread never breaks. The apprentice rises only to become master, and the master falls only to feed the next. You understand that this is not cruelty, not madness, but design. Perfection sculpted in blood. You feel the presence, of Darth Bane fading, but his decree remains, as though carved into your flesh now. Your breath grows slow, and with it the chamber itself seems to pulse, alive with the rhythm of power. You close your eyes, and the darkness does not vanish instead. It deepens, wrapping you in visions of futures not yet born. You see yourself bending unseen forces, shaping destinies with whispers alone. You see a galaxy that trembles not before armies, but before secrets. And though the images dissolve, their weight remains inside you, heavy yet liberating. You take another step, and the ground becomes unfamiliar again, softer, as if shifting from stone into soil. There is something beneath the surface, buried deep, a sarcophagus perhaps, or a temple hidden in plain sight. You kneel, pressing your hand against the earth, and feel the faint vibration of countless names lost to history, names never recorded, because their only purpose was to vanish once their part was played. They lived only so the next could rise. You realize, with both awe and dread, that you are simply the next vessel in an endless river. Yet, unlike the forgotten ones, you feel something stirs, something different, something unbound. The silence lengthens, yet within it you hear your own voice, speaking not with lips but with intent. I will not be forgotten, the chamber answers. Though no walls move, the shadows draw tighter around you, pressing against your chest, your back, your breath. It feels like drowning, and yet you do not fear it. For drowning in shadows is not death, it is baptism. You understand now. To awaken in this darkness is not to end, but to begin. And as you rise from the soil, the rule clings to you like a crown you cannot yet see. You carry it forward, not knowing where it will lead, but certain that it will carve you into something more than flesh, something inevitable. The chamber grows quieter, the echoes fainter, but the decree remains inside. You, blazing silently, one master, one apprentice. The chain has found its next link, and it is you. You walk deeper, and in each step you sense destiny leaning closer. You move forward, and the darkness does not release you. Instead, it thickens, flowing around your shoulders like a cloak binding itself into the curve of your spine. You breathe, and every breath is no longer just air, but an inheritance. Centuries of whispers pressed into your lungs. You feel your steps leading you into a corridor that has no walls, no floor, no ceiling, only endless shadow and the faint vibration of a chant that has traveled across generations. The chant is not sung, not spoken, yet you hear it as though it has always been waiting for you. Strength, power, victory, freedom. The words curl around you like serpents, ancient and eternal, yet they do not constrict, they guide. You sense the echo of Darth Bane not fading, but weaving itself into your blood, binding you to an oath you never spoke but already embody. You begin to feel the presence of others, though no bodies walk beside you. The air shifts with the weight of unseen apprentices, each one carrying their own hunger, their own ambition, their own fear. They do not speak, but you feel their gaze, the sharp sting of rivalry pressing into your skin. You know they walked this path too, believing they would rise beyond the shadow of their master. Most fell, their bones feeding the roots of the rule, their voices now part of the endless silence that fills your ears. You walk with them, and yet you are not one of them. Something burns within you, something deeper than ambition, a quiet certainty. that you will not be swallowed as they were. You feel the chamber testing this certainty, pressing harder, bending itself into visions to see if you can bear them. You see yourself kneeling, your forehead pressed against cold stone, the presence of a master towering above you, a figure of vast power and infinite restraint. You hear the voice again, low, careful, controlled, patience, obedience, silence. You feel your own body bend. To it, your knees ache against the stone floor. But even in submission, you feel the small spark of defiance, lingering, waiting, growing. You know that the rule does not demand eternal obedience. It demands only the strength to wait until silence breaks. You breathe into the stone, and in its chill, you find endurance. The shadows grow heavier, but you endure. You always endure. The corridor shifts again, and you are drawn into visions, not of the past, but of Naboo. You see gardens drenched in sunlight, rivers that glow with crystalline clarity, cities of domes rising like pearls against the horizon. Yet even in such beauty, you feel the tremor of hunger, the silent undercurrent of ambition threading through every noble hall and every hidden chamber. You see the boy that you were, eyes burning with curiosity that was never innocent, hands restless against the limits of a small world. The shadows show you this memory not to remind, but to reveal. For even here, in a world of light and song, you carried darkness within you. You begin to understand that the path of the Sith is not something placed upon you, it was always in you, waiting. You hear laughter now, low and distant, the laughter of one who saw this truth before you ever could. The air twists with the shape of a master's presence, a hand reaching to draw you into his designs. You feel the cold touch of Plagueis, the one who looked into you and saw not a boy, but a seed of empire. His voice does not come in thunder, but in silk, smooth, persuasive, inevitable. He whispers not of chains, but of freedom, not of servitude, but of destiny. You feel yourself leaning toward it, craving the power he holds out, like fruit dripping with sweetness. Yet even as you reach, you feel the rule stirring within you, reminding you that what is given is never yours. What you claim through patience, through cunning, through betrayal, that is what lasts. You taste the sweetness, but you know it will not sustain you forever. You walk further, and Naboo dissolves back into shadow. The corridor deepens into vastness, and in its vastness you feel time itself collapse. Past and future become indistinguishable, masters and apprentices merging into one endless chain. You see flashes of duels fought in silence, lightning erupting from hidden hands, empires collapsing beneath the weight of secrets too long held. You see yourself among them, not as spectator, but as participant, the chain bending around you, reshaping itself to your will. You feel the hunger growing sharper, more alive, no longer content with endurance alone. You begin to understand that to walk deeper is not to remember it, is to awaken. The chamber trembles with your realization. The walls that never existed shiver, the floor that was never real cracks, and yet you do not stumble. Instead, you feel your body root itself into the dark, drawing strength from the silence itself. The chant returns, louder now, its words vibrating against your skull until they become indistinguishable from your own thoughts. Strength, power, victory, freedom. The order does not come from outside anymore. It rises from within, your own voice echoing it, your own blood demanding it. You realize that this is the truth. The rule was meant to preserve, not a chain to bind you, but a crucible to forge you. You close your eyes, and the corridor vanishes. You are standing once more in a chamber of soil and stone, the silence pressing down like a storm, yet leaving you untouched. You feel the presence of Bane fading again, but this time it is not leaving, it is merging. You are not his shadow, nor his echo, nor his descendant. You are his continuation, his inevitability, the living flame carried forward. You breathe, and in that breath you know the truth. The rule was never meant to preserve weakness, and that one is you. You rise slowly, your hands no longer trembling, your gaze no longer uncertain. The darkness folds tighter around you, not as prison, but as crown. You feel its weight and find it lighter than you imagined, for it is not crushing you, is shaping you. Every whisper, every silence, every memory, not yours, but now yours, becomes fuel for the fire gathering inside you. You are Apprentice, but already you see the Master's shadow beginning to bend. The chamber grows still, and in the stillness you feel the faintest smile curve against your lips. The path is not complete, but it is inevitable. You will walk it, you will master it, you will become it. You do not pause as the silence deepens. Instead, you let it seep into you. Let it weave itself through your every thought until you can no longer tell where the shadows end and where you begin. The chamber breathes with you, slow and deliberate, each inhalation pulling threads of power into your chest, each exhalation sending them spiraling outward into the darkness. You feel no separation between yourself and this ancient place. It is not a tomb, not a hall, not a vision. It is you, your own becoming, and as you stand within it, you sense the path narrowing, guiding you forward into a truth that will not be denied. You walk across unseen ground, and the air shifts again. It tastes of fire now, of smoldering embers that never die. Sparks flash around you, faint as stars, rising and vanishing in the airless dark. They remind you of lives extinguished, apprentices burned away in their pursuit of mastery, their flames, short and fragile. But you are not flame. You are coal, enduring, waiting, gathering heat in silence until the moment comes to ignite. You feel that moment approaching, pulsing beneath your ribs like a second heartbeat, steady, patient, inevitable. You lift your hands, and the shadows bend as though answering a command you never spoke aloud. Your wrists tightening into invisible chains that feel less like restraint and more like recognition. You sense now that the power you seek does not come from without, but from the willingness to claim it within. It was never gift, never inheritance. It is hunger sharpened into will. And your will is no longer silent. It hums through your veins, heavy with purpose, electric with the memory of those who came before. You close your eyes and visions cascade. You see 1,000 apprentices kneeling, their faces hidden by the hoods of time. You see 1,000 masters falling, their eyes wide. In the shock of betrayal, you feel their endings echoing through you, each one both wound and weapon, scar and scripture. They are the foundation upon which you now stand, a mountain of death lifting you higher, pushing you closer to the throne that waits beyond shadow. You breathe their end, and in that breath you become their continuation. The silence thickens once more. But now it feels different. It does not test you, does not suffocate you. It honors you. You have endured, and the chamber recognizes endurance. You have resisted, and the darkness respects resistance. You have hungered, and hunger itself bows before you. You understand now what the rule was meant to preserve. Not a ritual, not a tradition, but a purity of will. One master, one apprentice, not because there could not be more, but because only in the crucible of scarcity is the strongest born. You are that birth. You are that flame. Your body grows heavy, yet it does not fall. The weight is not weakness, but coronation. You stand, cloaked in nothing but shadow, and the shadow bends to you as if it has been waiting. And the faint echo of a voice returns, Bane's voice, resonant and unyielding. But this time, it does not command, it affirms. So it continues. The words are not warning, but acknowledgement. You realize with clarity, sharper than any blade, that the rule is not master over you. You are master over it. You walk forward, and the chamber begins to dissolve. Stone turns to smoke, soil fades into mist, and the silence breaks into the faint murmur of distant winds. Yet even as it fades, the weight remains. You carry the darkness within you now, not as burden, but as marrow. It will not leave you, nor would you ever wish it to. Becoming the inevitability of your rise, the mist parts, and you find yourself stepping onto ground that feels alive with the hum of possibility. Stars stretch above you, endless and burning, each one a reminder of the countless lives waiting to bend beneath your will. You look upon them not with awe, but with recognition. They are not distant fires, they are fuel. And as you gaze upon them, you know that the path carved by the rule leads not merely to survival, but to dominion. You do not walk to endure anymore. You walk to rule. Your lips part, and though you speak no sound, the air trembles with the shape of your thought. One master, one apprentice. But in that thought you feel the beginning of divergence, the quiet birth of something more. For you are not merely apprentice, not merely heir. You are inevitability itself, the storm that will not cease, the night that will not fade. The shadows do not bind you, now they bow to you. And as you step forward into the vast expanse of possibility, you feel the first stirrings of a future in which you are not only inheritor of the rule, but its culmination. You walk deeper, but you no longer walk in silence. You walk with the heartbeat of the galaxy itself, pulsing in rhythm with your own. You walk with the weight of centuries behind you, pressing you forward into a destiny that cannot be denied. And as you vanish into the mist, the chamber whispers one final truth into your soul, soft as breath, yet eternal as stone. You were always meant to rise. You kneel, and the ground is cold beneath you, a floor of smooth stone that feels less like earth and more like judgment. The silence around you is so complete that it seems alive, as though it waits, as though it listens. You do not move, for movement would be defiance, and defiance here is death. You bow your head, pressing it toward the unseen figure before you, the master whose presence fills the chamber, not with noise, but with weight. He does not speak. He does not need to. You understand that in this silence you are nothing, and in being nothing, you may one day become everything. The air quivers faintly, touched not by wind, but by the gravity of his will. You feel it pressing into your skin, your bones, your thoughts. until even the idea of speech feels dangerous, profane. You remain still, and in stillness, you feel yourself dissolve. The chamber fades, the stone beneath you fades, your own breath fades, until there is only him, the one who has chosen you, the one who could end you. You kneel before him, and in your silence you begin to understand the first lesson. Power does not roar, it waits. Power does not plead, it commands without sound. And you, bound in silence, must learn to listen beyond listening. Your body aches, but you do not shift, knees sharper with pain. Yet still he does not speak, and still you do not rise. For you begin to see that silence itself is the teaching. It strips you bare, carves away your comfort, leaves you with nothing but hunger. And in that hunger, you begin to feel the stirrings of something more dangerous than fear endurance. You endure because you must, and in endurance, you discover a quiet power. He watches you, though his face is veiled, and you know he weighs every flicker of weakness, every tremor of impatience, yet still you endure. The silence deepens, turning inward, pressing against the walls of your mind. Memories surface unbidden, echoes of your life before this moment. You remember voices, family, teachers, friends, each one urging, commanding, begging, warning. They rise in your head until they become unbearable, a chorus of ghosts. And then you feel them fall away, one by one, as though his presence burns them from you, until only one remains. Not his voice, not anyone's voice, but your own. Small, at first, barely audible, but steady. A whisper within silence, telling you to hold, to bend, to wait. That voice is yours, but also not yours, as if something greater than yourself has reached through the dark to speak. You hold it close, and in its steadiness, you endure further still. You kneel, and your body becomes more stone than flesh. You kneel, and your hunger sharpens into resolve. You kneel, and the silence that once suffocated begins to feel like air, filling you with clarity. You begin to see shapes within it, not visions, not illusions, but truths. You see the faces of apprentices long forgotten, each one kneeling as you kneel, each one waiting, enduring, breaking. Some rose, many fell. Their silence became eternal, but yours continues. And as their faces vanish, you sense something settle in the space they leave behind. Inevitability. You will not break. You cannot. The master stirs, the faintest shift of shadow, the whisper of fabric against fabric. It is enough to ripple the silence like a stone dropped into a still pond. You feel your heart leap, but you do not raise your head. You remain bowed, waiting, listening. His silence has already taught you what words cannot. You know now that obedience is not the end, is the path. Submission is not surrendered, is strategy. To kneel is not to yield forever, but to prepare for the moment when you will rise. You feel the truth of this settle into your chest like iron. You are apprentice, but you are also air. The air warms slightly, though no fire burns. You feel his gaze upon you, unseen yet undeniable, weighing not only your endurance, but your hunger. He demands silence, but silence does not mean emptiness. It means focus. It means listening to the currents beneath what is spoken, to the pulse of intention hidden beneath restraint. You feel his presence, not as wall, but as door, and you begin to see the faint outline of what lies beyond. A world not of submission, but of command. a world in which silence becomes your weapon, sharp enough to bend others to your will without ever raising your voice. You kneel, and the chamber itself changes around you. The walls stretch outward, the shadows lengthen, and the silence grows, so vast that it feels cosmic, as if you kneel not before a man, but before the galaxy itself. Stars flicker faintly in the distance, cold and merciless, and you understand that this silence is not only his, but the silence of the universe, the silence of space between stars, the silence before empires fall, the silence of death. And in that silence, you find your place. You are nothing, and in being nothing, you may become everything. Your head remains bowed, but within your chest a new fire sparks, one that does not roar, one that does not blaze. It smolders, patient and steady, waiting for the breath that will awaken it into flame. You do not rush it, you do not demand it. You let it burn as it will, slow and unseen, hidden beneath the silence that still surrounds you. And as you wait, you realize that silence itself has become your teacher, shaping you into something sharper than obedience, stronger than defiance. It shapes you into inevitability. The master has not spoken. He may not speak for hours still, but you already understand the lesson he wished to carve into you. Silence is not absence, it is presence. Silence is not, void is foundation. And from silence you will rise. You kneel and you endure and you sharpen. And when you rise, the galaxy will know the weight of the silence you once obeyed. You remain in that posture, bound, not by chains, but by stillness, your body an instrument of obedience and defiance at once. The silence, once unbearable, deepens further, folding into itself until it feels endless, like the void between galaxies where no star has ever burned. Your breath slows, your pulse steadies, and you begin to realize that this silence is no longer his alone, it has become yours. The master's weight presses down upon you, yet instead of crushing, it molds. You are being carved, reshaped by restraint, forged in the furnace of patience. And you begin to sense the lesson hidden within the lesson. Only through silence do you learn to hear what others cannot. Visions flicker in the corners of your mind, not given, but awakened. You see the galaxy as if through a veil, countless systems, spread like embers across infinite blackness. You hear no voices, no music of life, only the quiet hum of inevitability. Empires rise in silence before their first trumpet call. Civilizations collapse in silence before their final scream. The universe does not need to announce itself, simply is. And you, kneeling, begin to feel that same truth filling your bones. To be silent is to be aligned with the cosmos, patient, inevitable, inexhaustible. Your master does not speak, but his silence sharpens. It cuts deeper, forcing you to confront yourself. The chamber becomes mirror and crucible, showing you not only what you are, but what you must abandon. Pride flickers, but silence burns it away. Fear stirs, but silence smothers it. Impatience rises like fire, but silence drains its fuel until only ember remains. You are left bare, reduced to essence, and in that essence you feel hunger more clearly than ever before. It is not wild anymore. It is precise, sharpened, honed into blade. Your knees ache, the stone beneath you, cruel and unyielding. Pain lances through your body, yet the longer it persists, the more it transforms. It ceases to be suffering and becomes anchor, grounding you deeper into the stillness. Each tremor of pain is a reminder of your endurance. Each ache is a mark of your belonging. You are no longer resisting the silence, you are embracing it. You feel your breath settle into rhythm with it, a rhythm that does not falter, a rhythm that does not end. Shadows thicken around you, bending inward as if drawn by your stillness. They coil across your arms, your shoulders, your bowed head, but they do not frighten you. They feel like recognition, like inheritance. They are the shadows of apprentices long forgotten, those who knelt as you kneel, endured as you endure. Some broke, others perished, a few rose. Their silence lingers, woven into this place, and now it bends toward you, gathering in your stillness, merging with your breath. You are not alone in this silence. You are legion. The master shifts again, a subtle movement that ripples through the air. It is not gesture, not command, yet it changes everything. For in that ripple you understand that silence itself is conversation. Each breath, each shift of presence, each pause is a word unspoken. You realize that the truest power lies not in speaking, but in knowing when not to speak. Words can betray, words can reveal, words can bind, but silence hides, silence shields, silence sharpens. And when silence finally breaks, its sound is like thunder after endless stillness, unforgettable, unstoppable, undeniable. You close your eyes and sink deeper. The silence envelops you, pulling you inward until the chamber dissolves, until the master himself dissolves, until even your body is gone. You are floating in endless black, weightless, breathless, thoughtless. At first, it feels like death, the absence of all things. But then you realize it is not absence at all, it is foundation. A canvas so vast and unbroken that anything may be painted upon it, and you, suspended within it, feel yourself becoming both the brush and the hand. You could shape this silence into command, into dominion, into destiny. You will dot the vision, holds you, pressing deeper, stripping away the last remnants of your old self. You see the apprentice, you are bound in silence, bent in obedience, enduring. And you see the shadow of what you will become, figure, cloaked in night, voice sharpened into blade, presence so heavy it bends empires without a single word. You realize that this is the purpose of silence, not to erase you, but to refine you into weapon. The silence shifts again, softening, stretching outward. You feel the master's gaze still upon you, but no longer crushing. It watches, it measures, it acknowledges. You realize he has not sought to destroy you with silence. He has sought to see if you can survive it, to see if you can claim it as your own. And you have. The silence no longer belongs to him alone. It belongs to you now. You could wield it, bend others with it, let it press into them as it once pressed into you. You have taken it, and in taking it, you have begun to rise. Your head remains bowed, your body still kneeling, but within you, something vast has shifted. You are no longer the one who merely endures silence. You are the one who will one day create it. You will demand it, impose it, carve it into others until they break beneath its weight. For silence is not emptiness. Silence is dominion, and in this silence, you feel your destiny stirring awake, whispering softly from the shadows. You will rise, and when you do, your silence will be the voice that bends the galaxy. You remain bowed, but within the stillness, something has transformed. The silence that once pressed against you as burden now feels like cloak, settling over your shoulders with the weight of belonging. The stone beneath your knees has long since ceased to be pain. It has become altar. Your body, though weary, is vessel, and in that vessel, silence gathers like a tide, filling every corner until you are no longer separate from it. You are silence, and silence is you. The Master still does not speak, and yet you hear him, not with ears, but with the sharpened sense that silence has carved into you. Every flicker of presence, every pause of breath, every shift of energy is louder than words. Each is command, written in still air. You kneel in that recognition, and you understand. This is how empires are ruled, not through noise, but through gravity, so absolute that silence itself becomes law. Your mind drifts, but it does not wander. It sinks deeper into memory, deeper into vision, deeper into the endless corridors of what is yet to come. You see yourself no longer apprentice, but master, cloaked not in fabric, but in inevitability. Before you, others kneel, their foreheads pressed against stone, their breaths caught in fear, their silence born not of respect, but of terror. You see yourself watching them, not with compassion, not with pity, but with the same weight that now pins you in place. And in that vision, you realize the truth the Master is etching into you now. Silence is not absence, it is dominion, too. Command silence is to command everything. For what is silence but the final obedience, the surrender of voice itself? The chamber grows colder, and the shadows lengthen once more. They twist, bending into shapes that are almost human, almost voices, almost lives. You recognize them, though you have never seen them. Apprentices who endured and failed, apprentices who endured and rose, apprentices whose silence became tomb. They surround you now, not in threat, but in reminder. Each one carries the same hunger you feel. Their silence was eternal, unbroken, nameless. Yet here you remain, breathing where they do not. You feel their weight upon your shoulders, not as chains, but as mantle. You kneel not only for yourself, but for them, carrying the inheritance of those who knelt before and vanished into shadow. You sense movement again, faint but undeniable. The Master leans closer, his presence spilling over you like the shadow of a star. You do not raise your head, you do not dare. But within that closeness, you feel something shift. Not approval, not affection. Those are foreign here. What you feel is recognition. He has carved you down to your essence, tested you against silence itself, and you have not broken. You have become harder, sharper, emptier of weakness. You feel his gaze like fire against your bowed skull, and you know that in this moment he sees you not as boy, not as vessel, but as apprentice. Not because you endured, but because you claimed the silence as your own. The stillness holds for what feels like eternity, and then, at last, it fractures, not with speech, but with sound. The faint scrape of fabric against stone, the whisper of footsteps moving away. The Master does not address you, he does not command you, he does not grant you words. He simply turns, and his absence speaks louder than any declaration. He has left you in silence, because silence is what you now wield. He knows you will rise from it, not as broken, but as sharpened. After his presence fades, the air grows lighter, the chamber wider, but still you do not rise, for you realize the silence is no longer his, it is yours. You have taken it, absorbed it, claimed it, until it has become marrow. You could rise now, but you do not. You stay, because patience has become power, and silence has become strategy. You understand now that to kneel is not to yield, but to wait for the moment when waiting itself becomes weapon. When at last you lift your head, the chamber is empty. Shadows still curl across the stone, but they bow toward you, folding inward as though recognizing their new master. You stand, your body aching but unbroken, your breath heavy but steady. The silence follows you, not clinging, not binding, but flowing like current through your veins. You step forward, and the sound of your foot against stone rings like thunder. In the emptiness, one sound, and the chamber shivers. You understand the lesson. Command. It lingers in your gaze, pressing others into obedience before you speak. It lingers in your very presence, so heavy that rooms bend, so deep that even the boldest grow hesitant. And in the silence you carry forward, you feel the faintest smile curve at the edge of your lips. For you know what others do not, that the quiet is never empty. The quiet is power. And one day the galaxy itself will kneel before the silence you command. You walk beneath the surface, where the world above knows only gardens and rivers, domes and palaces gleaming like pearls in sunlight. Down here there is no light, no song of water or echo of laughter, only a labyrinth carved into the earth long before your birth. The air is damp, thick with the musk of stone and secrets, and as your footsteps fall, they do not echo. The darkness swallows them whole. You do not hesitate, for hesitation is death in places such as this. You press forward, each step leading you deeper into a web of tunnels that few know exist and fewer dare to enter. Naboo is beautiful above, but below, with roots that claw through the cracks. You run your hand along them, feeling the cold pulse of the earth, as though the labyrinth itself is alive and watching. It remembers those who came before you, those who wandered too far and never returned. You feel their breath in the stale air, their fear in the trembling silence. But you are not afraid. You feel the pull of the labyrinth like a call, as though it knows you, as though it has been waiting. You understand this darkness is not curse but crucible. It does not seek to kill you. What must remain? The path twists, splitting into branches that vanish into shadow. You do not hesitate. The further you walk, the more you sense that this labyrinth is not a place, but a memory older than Naboo's domes, older than the rivers that carve its valleys. Who saw in the dark what others could not? Their presence lingers in every corridor. You do not see them, yet you feel them, pressing against you like a crowd gathered to watch your passage. The walls tremble faintly as you pass, not with collapse, but with recognition. Roots split open, stone shifts, air grows colder. You feel yourself walking not through tunnels, but through a body. Each twist another vein, each chamber another lung, each silence another heartbeat. The labyrinth is alive, and you are walking through its memory. The further you go, the more it reveals. Given and taken, you run your hand across them, and though you cannot read them, you feel their meaning press into your skin. They are not language, pools of stagnant water, lie still upon the stone, their surfaces reflecting not your face, but fragments of visions. In one you see warships burning in the void, soldiers falling, cities crumbling. In another you see a throne, a figure cloaked in black, faceless yet familiar. In another you see yourself, smaller, younger, yet with eyes already sharpened by hunger. You kneel beside the pool and gaze, and the reflections ripple without touch. They shift, they rearrange, they whisper. The labyrinth is showing you not what is, but what may be. It is not prophecy, but possibility. And as you stare, you understand that possibility is itself a weapon. The chamber grows darker, the reflections fading, until only silence remains. You rise, and the path continues. Narrower now, sharper, forcing you to stoop, to bend, to crawl. The stone scrapes your hands, tears at your knees, but you do not stop. Pain is nothing here. The labyrinth demands more than strength it demands. Surrender. You surrender your body to stone, your breath to silence, your will to the path. And in that surrender, you feel yourself sharpen. You are not diminished. You are distilled. At last, the tunnel widens, opening into another chamber. This one is smaller, circular, its walls marked with symbols that spiral inward toward a single stone at the center. You approach, and the air thickens, heavy as water, pressing against your chest until your breath comes hard. You press your hand against its surface, and the cold shoots through you like lightning. Your vision shatters, and the labyrinth itself pours into you. Asterisk. You see the layers of Nabutha, cities above, bright and fragile. The roots below, endless and consuming. The waters between, teeming with life and silence. You see the people above, blind to what rests beneath them, blind to the truth that their peace was built upon bones, their beauty upon silence. You see the faces of rulers and queens, smiling in ignorance, believing their palaces eternal. And then you see beneath them, deeper still, where shadows coil and wait. You see yourself among them, not as intruder, not as stranger, but as heir. You belong here. The labyrinth knows you. It whispers to you, and its whisper is not gentle. It is command. You withdraw your hand, gasping, but the vision does not fade. You carry it within you now, burned into your mind. You stumble back, and yet your body steadies itself. You are not broken. You are awakened. The labyrinth does not release those who fail. It releases only those who understand, and you understand. The silence of Naboo is not weakness. It is strength, hidden, waiting, watching. You see now why you were drawn here, why you walk these corridors, while others never knew they existed. The labyrinth chose you because you are silence given voice, hunger given form. The symbols glow faintly, pulsing like breath, but you no longer need them. Their meaning has settled into your bones. You turn, and the path stretches before you again, endless and twisting, yet you do not hesitate. You walk deeper, and with every step, you feel the labyrinth folding into you, shaping you, binding you. You are not guest here. You are not student. The labyrinth will never leave you, and you will never leave it. Together you will rise. You press onward, and the labyrinth deepens. The air grows colder, denser, as if each breath must be pulled from the stone itself. Your footsteps fall into rhythm, slow and measured, until they blend into the silence around you. Yet the silence here is not empty. It is filled with memory, thick with echoes that never die. You sense them gathering in the walls, in the roots, in the unseen chambers that stretch away beyond sight. They do not speak, yet you hear them. They are waiting, not as ghosts, but as witnesses. You realize the labyrinth itself is not test alone, it is audience. Every step you take, every breath you draw, is seen, measured, remembered. The corridors tighten, winding inward like coils of a serpent. You feel the weight of the earth pressing from all sides. A burden so immense it should crush you, and yet it steadies you instead. For you understand now, the deeper the burden, the greater the strength it offers. And as you yield to it, you feel yourself transforming. You are no longer merely walking a labyrinth, you are becoming it. Your breath matches its silence, your pulse its rhythm, your thoughts its darkness. You feel it winding into you. You trace them with your fingers, and each one burns cold into your skin. They speak not in words, but in sensation. One sears with hunger, another with patience, another with betrayal, another with triumph. You understand them without language, for they are not lessons to be learned, but truths to be remembered. They tell you what you already know, that silence is strength, that hunger is law, that betrayal is the only path by which the apprentice becomes master. The air shifts, and you hear water dripping somewhere unseen. The sound is steady, precise, a clock that has ticked for centuries in the dark. You follow it, letting the rhythm guide you, until you reach a chamber where a thin stream cuts through the stone, pooling into a basin carved by forgotten hands. The water glimmers faintly, though no light touches it. You kneel beside it, and in its surface you see not your reflection, but fragments of possibility. You see your master, shadowed and terrible, his hand upon your shoulder. You see yourself, kneeling as you have before, silent, obedient. Then the surface ripples, and you see another vision, you standing above him, his body broken, his silence given to you. The image wavers, and yet you know it is not fantasy. It is inevitability. You cup the water in your hands and drink. It is cold, colder than anything you have ever known, cutting through you like glass. Yet it does not harm, it clarifies. Every nerve awakens, every thought sharpens, every breath feels weighted with purpose. You feel the labyrinth within you again, not as stone, but as bloodstream. Its silence runs through you, its patience steadies you, its hunger burns in you. You rise from the basin and feel the chamber bow in recognition. The water was not meant to sustain you, it was meant to awaken you, and it has. The path twists onward, and you follow. The stone grows rougher, the roots thicker, the air heavier. You crawl at times, forcing yourself through narrow veins where the earth seems intent on crushing you, yet you do not falter. Each scrape of stone against your flesh feels like initiation, each gasp of breath like vow. The labyrinth is binding itself to you, and you welcome it. For you understand now that power does not lie in palaces or crowns, but in the places beneath, where silence reigns and hunger sharpens. Naboo's beauty above is illusion. Naboo's truth lies here in shadow and stone. You reach another chamber. In the center lies a monolith taller than you, its surface smooth, black as void. You approach it, and the air thickens further, pressing into your chest, slowing your breath. This time they come not as fragments, but as storm. You see queens smiling as their world drowns in ignorance. And beneath it all, you see yourself, silent, patient, waiting. The visions sharpen. You see betrayal, your own hand moving in darkness, your master's eyes widening in shock. You see triumph, your shadow rising over cities, your silence heavier than any shout. The labyrinth does not offer you choice, it offers you truth. This is what will come if you endure, if you claim, if you rise. You pull your hand away, gasping, but the visions remain burned into your sight. Nor would you. The silence grows again, stretching across the chamber, folding into you like a mantle. You bow once, not in obedience, but in recognition, and then you walk on. The corridors narrow, twist, bleed into each other until you lose sense of direction. Yet, you are not lost. The labyrinth is not map, but mirror. You walk deeper, and in walking, you see yourself clearer than you ever have. You are hunger. You are silence. You are inevitability. The path stretches still, but you do not falter. You walk with patience carved into your bones, with silence filling your breath, with visions burning in your eyes. You understand now that this labyrinth is not simply Naboo's forgotten darkness, it is your own. And by walking it, you are no longer bound by it. You are becoming master of it. You press deeper, and the labyrinth tightens around you once more. The air is heavy now, so thick it feels like liquid sliding into your lungs. The stone walls glisten with unseen moisture, dripping faintly in rhythm, a sound so slow and patient that it feels eternal. You place your hand upon the damp surface and feel it pulse beneath your fingers, as though the labyrinth itself breathes. With you, you do not recoil. You accept it. For you have long since understood that this place is not prison, not maze, but mirror. It does not trap you, it reveals you. Your steps echo faintly now, no longer swallowed completely by silence. The labyrinth allows them, as if recognizing your endurance, acknowledging that you have proven yourself worthy to leave a mark. Yet, even in the faintest sound, you are careful, for sound is weight here. Sound is choice. Too much, too soon, and the labyrinth would close itself upon you. You walk softly, not in fear, but in mastery, claiming what is yours with patience sharpened into blade. The corridors lead you into a chamber unlike any you have seen before. It is vast, stretching upward into darkness without end, and at its center rises a pillar of stone carved into the likeness of a serpent coiled upon itself. Its eyes gleam faintly, catching light that should not exist, and as you draw closer, you feel the air grow colder still. You reach out, laying your hand upon its carved scales, and instantly the world fractures. Shadows spill across your vision, visions cascade, and you are carried away. You see Naboo again, its gardens blooming, its rivers glistening, its cities rising like pearls upon green hills. You see its people smiling, laughing, bowing to rulers who believe themselves eternal. And then, as quickly as the vision formed, you see it crack, not with war, not with flame, but with silence. Voices falter, eyes widen, movements slow. The entire world bows to something unseen, something inevitable, and at the center of it all, cloaked in shadow, stands you. Not with armies, not with banners, but with silence, so absolute that it bends the will of all before it. The serpent coils tighter in your vision, and you understand its meaning: patience, power, inevitability. The vision shifts, and you see your master. He towers over you, shadow, vast presence, unbearable. His silence weighs upon you as it always has, but in this vision, you do not kneel. You stand. His silence presses harder, but you have learned to wield silence yourself, and your silence meets his in equal weight. For a moment, the vision trembles as silence collides with silence, power with power, and then he falters. The serpent coils again, and you see yourself strike, swift and final. The vision fades, leaving only darkness, but the truth remains. Betrayal is not choice, here it is law. You stagger back from the pillar, your breath ragged, but you do not fall. The labyrinth steadies you, holds you, sharpens you. The serpent's eyes still gleam, and you bow your head once more, not in obedience, but in recognition of what you have claimed. You carry its hunger now, its patience, its inevitability. You walk on, and the labyrinth shifts with you, its walls bending subtly, its corridors guiding you forward. It no longer resists you, it accepts you. The paths widen, the air grows lighter, though still heavy with memory. You sense the surface above, distant but near, and with it, you sense the weight of a world that does not know what sleeps beneath its feet. You feel the ignorance of its rulers, its people, its queens and senators, believing their peace eternal, blind to the shadows that pulse below. You know better. You have walked the labyrinth. You have drunk its silence, borne its weight, claimed its hunger. You rise now, not as intruder, not as wanderer, but as heir. At last, you reach the final corridor. It slopes upward, its walls narrowing, its air fresher, touched faintly with the scent of soil. You climb, each step heavier with the truth you carry, until at last light pierces the darkness. You emerge into the night air of Naboo, stars burning cold and indifferent above, rivers murmuring faintly in the distance. The beauty of the world above greets you, soft and radiant, but you no longer see it as you once did. You see only illusion, for you know now that true power lies beneath, in silence, in shadow, in hunger that waits. You stand beneath the stars, the labyrinth behind you, but not gone. It lingers within you, carved into your marrow, etched into your breath. You carry it forward, a labyrinth not of stone but of soul, guiding you through paths unseen, binding you to patience, sharpening you for inevitability. You walk into the night of Naboo, and though none see you, though none know you, you feel the serpent coiled within, silent and waiting. One day it will strike, and when it does, the galaxy itself will tremble. You glance once more toward the horizon, where palaces gleam faintly in moonlight. You feel no awe, no envy, no fear. You feel only silence, heavy and sure. The labyrinth gave you more than test it, gave you truth. And as you turn away, vanishing into the night, you know this truth will never leave you. You will rise, not because you hope, not because you dream, but because it is inevitable. The labyrinth chose you. The labyrinth shaped you. And now, through you, the labyrinth will rule. You stand in silence, and before you rises not temple nor labyrinth, but the presence of one whose hunger has no end. His shadow stretches across the chamber, long and unbroken, and though no fire burns, the air glows faintly with the weight of his will. This is your master, the one who has pulled you from obscurity into the web of the unseen, the one who speaks not in thunder, but in whispers that coil tighter than chains. He is not like the others you have endured. His silence is not absence, but calculation. His words not command, but invitation. He does not bind you with obedience alone. He binds you with curiosity, with promises you cannot resist. You listen as he speaks of power that defies death, of secrets that unmake the final silence, of knowledge buried so deep that only the patient may taste it. His voice is steady, low, filled with certainty that shakes the air like hidden thunder. And you, kneeling before him, feel the truth of his words ripple through your veins. It is not the power of armies he offers, nor the dominion of thrones. It is something deeper, darker, more intoxicating. The promise of life itself bent beneath your will, the end of finality, the mastery of death. He draws you into his experiments, chambers where shadows drip with the scent of blood, and the silence is broken only by the hum of strange devices. He shows you bodies suspended in fluid, their faces pale, their eyes closed, yet not gone. He speaks of the Force not as religion, not as mysticism, but as current, as energy, as science waiting to be dissected. You watch as he bends it, twists it, commands it with precision so sharp it feels like sacrilege. Yet it is not blasphemy to you. It is revelation. For the first time, you see the Force not as something to serve, but as something to be mastered utterly, to be shaped like clay in your hand. You feel his presence pressing against your mind, demanding you see beyond dogma, beyond ritual, beyond chains of tradition. He whispers that the Jedi call it harmony, the Sith call it passion, but in truth, it is only will, raw, unshaped will. And will is meant to be sharpened, directed, wielded. You feel the fire of it awakening in you, burning away the last remnants of hesitation. You know now that you are not student of mystics, not servant of dogma, are heir to science, heir to inevitability, heir to secrets that bend even death. Nights blur into nights, time dissolving in the endless pursuit of knowledge. You stand beside him as he layers experiment upon experiment, each one peeling back the veil of the Force further. You watch as he whispers to midi-chlorians, those unseen symbionts that bind life to breath. You hear him command them, not with prayer but with precision, bending them toward his hunger, demanding they obey. Some resist, some fracture, some obey for a moment before dissolving into silence. Yet still he continues, tireless, relentless, consumed. And you, standing beside him, feel the edges of that hunger seeping into you. For you do not watch in horror, you watch in fascination. He does not shield you from the truths others would call forbidden. He invites you into them. He trusts you with secrets that would drive others into madness. And in that trust, you see his arrogance. He believes himself unbreakable, believes you bound by loyalty. He believes his silence absolute, yet you know better. For with every secret he shares, every forbidden truth he uncovers, you taste not only his knowledge, but his weakness. You see the way obsession blinds him, how hunger consumes him until he cannot see the knife already at his back. He teaches you how to wield power, and in doing so, he teaches you how to end him. The chamber hums with life and death intertwined, with bodies suspended, with whispers of the Force bent into unnatural patterns. You feel the air vibrate with it, thick with creation and destruction alike. And within that vibration, you hear your own breath steadying. You are no longer a student. You are shadow sharpening. You are silence gathering weight. He does not see it, or perhaps he refuses to. He believes himself eternal, yet you feel already the inevitability of his fall. You step closer to him, close enough to feel the chill of his presence, close enough to hear the whisper of his breath. He speaks again, his voice smooth, telling you that together you will rule not only empires, but life itself. That the galaxy will bow not only to your will, but to your defiance of death. You nod, you bow, you endure, but within, your hunger sharpens into blade. You taste the forbidden power he offers, and you claim it as your own. Not to serve him, not to complete him, but to replace him. The chamber grows still, the hum fading, the silence deepening. He does not notice, but you do. The silence has shifted. It no longer belongs to him alone. It belongs to you now. You breathe, and the air bends with you. You close your eyes, and visions spark his body broken, his silence shattered, your throne rising in its place. You see it, you feel it, you know it. It is not dream, it is not fantasy, it is inevitability. You have tasted his forbidden secrets, and in tasting them, you have surpassed him already. The only thing left is time. You bow lower, hiding the faintest curve of your lips. He believes you kneel in loyalty, but you kneel only in patience. For you have already claimed what he offers. You have already seen beyond him. And when the silence breaks, it will not be his voice that fills the galaxy. It will be yours. You remain in his presence, and every hour stretches long, filled not with noise, but with the pulse of experiments that blur the line between life and death. The chamber reeks of chemicals and blood, the air heavy with vapor from machines that hiss and whisper like serpents in the dark. Tubes snake into bodies, suspended in glass, fluids bubbling, as if each breath were stolen rather than earned. You watch as he bends his will across these forms, his hands precise, his eyes sharp with obsession, and in his silence you hear not calm but hunger, a hunger so deep it devours even the meaning of triumph. He tells you he is mastering life, but you know he is mastered by his pursuit of it. You kneel beside him, but your mind is not bowed. You study the way his fingers move, the way his breath quickens when energy bends beneath his will. You note the tremor that flickers across his face when resistance rises, the strain that cracks even his carefully woven silence. He believes himself eternal, and yet his body betrays him. Every lesson he gives you, every secret he unveils, is not gift but weapon. He places daggers into your hands, never realizing that each one points to his heart. The experiments grow darker, more daring. You watch as he drains life from one vessel only to force it into another. The chamber shivers with the screams of the force itself, distorted, stretched, contorted into shapes unnatural. You feel it sear through you, cold and hot at once, a fire that burns without flame. It should unmake you, but instead it strengthens you, for you do not recoil, you do not resist, you absorb it, you make it part of yourself. He believes he can command them, bend them to his hunger, trick them into obedience. You watch him fail and succeed, his victories shallow, his failures quiet. He does not admit them, but you see them, and in them you learn. You understand that power is not given, it is taken. It is not begged, is claimed. He claws at eternity with desperation, but you wait. You let eternity draw closer, knowing that when it arrives, it will not slip through your grasp. The chamber hums with ceaseless labor, with lights flickering against pale flesh, with fluids shimmering in glass. Yet through it all, your silence grows heavier. He speaks, and you nod. He commands, and you obey. But within, your patience coils tighter, your hunger sharper. You realize he does not see you as equal. He sees you as vessel, as tool, as echo. But you are none of these. And one day, you will not kneel. You begin to taste the forbidden knowledge, not as fragments of his teaching, but as your own inheritance. You feel your body respond, your senses sharpen, your will thicken. You close your eyes, and visions bloom, unbidden. Your master fallen, his body slumped in silence. Your hand raised above him, the galaxy stretched before you, like open wound, waiting to be claimed. You do not fear these visions. You crave them. They are not fantasy, but you know it belongs to you. You can already feel it in your marrow, in your breath, in the steady beat of your heart. You have absorbed his secrets, swallowed his knowledge, tasted his hunger. But where it consumes him, it refines you. He is prisoner of his own obsession. You are its air. The air thickens again, shadows folding closer. And for a moment you feel his presence pressing hard against your mind. It is probing, testing, weighing. Does he suspect? Does he see the storm gathering beneath your silence? You remain still, steady, patient. You let him press, let him peer, but you reveal nothing. He withdraws at last, satisfied, blind. He believes your silence is obedience. He does not see that it is weapon. The chamber grows quiet once more, machines humming softer, bodies suspended. In their endless stillness, you breathe, and in your breath the air itself seems to bend. You know that when the silence finally breaks, it will not be him who commands it. It will be you. For you have tasted his forbidden secrets, claimed them, sharpened them. He cannot see it, but the galaxy will. You bow again, head lowered, body still, but within you rise. You rise higher than his hunger, higher than his obsession, higher than his silence. And when the moment comes, you will not hesitate. You will strike, and in striking, you will not only end him, you will claim the power he could never truly hold. For you will not be servant of death or master of life, and the weight of his obsession clings to you like smoke that will never leave your skin. Bodies float within them, suspended between life and death, their faces pale, their veins lit faintly by currents of unseen energy, and you, standing at his side, do not feel revulsion either. You feel fascination, sharp and hungry, for each experiment is a doorway to truth, and truth is a weapon. He speaks of life not as miracle, but as formula, something to be manipulated, perfected, reshaped, until even death itself bends and shatters. His voice, calm and unyielding, fills the chamber, and you listen as though every word is thread-weaving into the fabric of your will. He believes he is teaching you to follow, to learn, to bow before his genius, but you know better. He is teaching you to replace him. For every forbidden secret he unveils, every technique he demonstrates becomes yours, etched into your marrow, sharper than blade. He speaks of eternity as though it were his, but you already feel it burning inside you. Nights blur, time loses meaning, and the chamber itself becomes your world. You see him test the force as though it were equation, bending midichlorians to his will, commanding them to sustain, to heal, to create. At times, he succeeds, and the chamber hums with life returned, blood coursing again, lungs filling again. At times, he fails, and silence follows, heavy and complete. He curses quietly, but you do not. You only watch, and you learn. You see that even his mastery has limits, and in those limits, you glimpse his weakness. For the force bends to him, but it does not yet bow. He believes himself eternal, but eternity does not yet belong to him. You stand closer now, close enough to feel the pulse of energy ripple from his hands, close enough to smell the metallic temps of power thick in the air. You feel it seep into you, threading itself through your veins, coiling into your breath. You do not resist it. You open yourself to it, claim it, make it part of your own silence. It sharpens you, strengthens you, binds you tighter to inevitability. He does not notice, or perhaps he chooses not to. Perhaps he cannot imagine that you, kneeling before him, are already sharpening the knife that will one day end him. The chamber grows darker as he speaks of the greatest secret, the mastery of death itself. His eyes gleam with hunger, his voice low and fervent as he tells you that nothing, not even the final silence, must remain unconquered. He believes he has found the key. He believes he can bend the force until even death obeys. He whispers of immortality, of life unbroken, of power that will never fade. And you, standing before him, bow your head, feigning awe, but within you smile. For you see the truth he cannot, that his hunger blinds him. He seeks to chain eternity, but eternity cannot be chained. It must be claimed. You close your eyes, and visions flood you again. You see him, weakened by his own obsession, his breath ragged, his body trembling beneath the weight of power he cannot contain. You see yourself above him, calm, steady, silent, your hand raised, not in supplication, but in finality. You see his silence broken, his secrets spilling into you. His life ended not by age nor by failure, but by betrayal. The vision burns, sharp and clear, and you know it is no fantasy. It is the end of his path and the beginning of yours. You open your eyes, and he is still there, still speaking, still weaving, still believing himself eternal. But you know now, you feel it in every breath, in every heartbeat, in every pulse of the force around you. He has already lost. His secrets are already yours. His power is already yours. All that remains is the moment, the strike, the silence. That will follow. And when it comes, it will not be his voice that commands the galaxy. It will be yours. You bow again, as you have countless times before. But this time, you kneel not in obedience. You kneel in patience. You kneel in hunger. You kneel in silence that is not submission, but coronation. For you have tasted his forbidden power, and in tasting it, you have surpassed him. The galaxy does not yet know it. He does not yet know it, but you know it, and that is enough. He speaks still, his hunger consuming him, his arrogance blinding him. And you, silent, patient, inevitable, wait for the moment when silence will shatter. You wait for the moment when master becomes nothing, and apprentice becomes